Hello and welcome back to Everyone's Entitled to One Good Scare, the Archiv's exclusive Halloween franchise podcast. We are your hosts, the Brothers Blanchard. I am one half of that equation. I am Matthew J. Blanchard. With me, as always, is my brother,
Patrick J. Blanchard, the other half.
And we are the guys who deep dive on horror movie franchises. We go through them all. And right now we're tackling the Halloween movies. And we've gone through 4 relatively good movies.
Yes.
I mean, 1 is excellent, 2 is kind of meh. 3, it grows on you. 4 is amazing.
2 will be much better if I never watch it again.
Right, sure. And now we're talking about Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers.
This time they're ready.
Yes.
That's the tagline.
I know it's the tagline. So, Mustafa Akkad, he has this idea that he thinks is original. He claims he came up with it. We know he didn't. I mean, he might have come up with it without realizing that someone else did.
Well, it's what he and John were originally toying about back in '81.
Yes, a new Halloween movie every year.
However, the idea of the anthology, that's gone now.
No, now it's just a new Michael Myers movie every year. So the plans, as soon as the writer's strike is over, he's digging around. He's looking for somebody who can write this. Because, frankly, Alan B. McElroy is like, nope, I'm not coming back. Neither's Dwight Little. Both of them are like, our movie was good. We're done here.
Alan has since said that he wishes he'd have come back. He laid some threads that he wished other people had pursued.
Well, he laid a big thread that everyone assumed would be pursued.
Yep.
Particularly the ending of Halloween 4, where Jamie Lloyd stabs her adoptive mother and
Fade to black. Almost gets shot by Loomis. She's the bad guy, folks. Move on. As Danielle Harris herself has said, she would become Michael's little sidekick. Yep.
Cute idea. And the first writer that gets hired, his plan is to do exactly that. The first script for Halloween 5 is written as if Jamie Lloyd is now evil. And much like John Carpenter's previous attempt at a unique Halloween film that takes the mythos and swaps it on ear a little bit and changes things up, Mustafa Akkad fucking hates it. Mustafa is not on board with an evil Jamie Lloyd.
Well,
Mustafa wants a straightforward Michael Myers picture by the numbers.
Well, the formula's established. We know what works. We want the monies. We want the scares. We want audience dependability.
Yes, sure. However, writers want something that they can sink their fucking teeth into.
Yes.
Right?
However, not realizing everything that led to the sentence I just uttered was a risk.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. So what Mustafa does is he fires the guy who wrote a script in which Jamie Lloyd is now evil and working with Michael Myers.
Which I have never heard of anyone having seen. Like, this is...
Yeah, I've never heard of this draft.
This is one of the missing...
The missing link.
There are a few...
Yeah.
There are a few scripts of various Halloweens out there that we've heard about...
Yeah.
But have never seen.
Exactly. And this is one such draft. He hires a writer who accepts the following brief. Write a movie where the opening scene corrects the ending of number 4, and we move forward from there with a straightforward Myers picture.
Well, that's not the movie we got.
That's not the movie we got either. So, this guy sits down, writes a draft, and apparently it is a by-the-numbers Michael Myers picture. Straight up. It carries on with a non-evil sidekicky Jamie Lloyd. It features a standard plot. It features Halloween 4 style kills, so it ramps up some gore, it ramps up some action.
It has a direction, right? So now Mustafa, having a script in hand, starts looking for a director because Dwight Little's not coming back either. And he has a conversation with Deborah Hill, which, given the results of this movie, I'm very curious where her head's at. You were talking about this earlier. You apparently do as well.
I do. I've wondered for a while. Like she's divorced. She's out of Halloween.
Yes.
Like the only thing she's getting is the story credit money that she gets,
Which is not a lot.
Yeah.
In terms of residuals.
So based on who she suggests to direct this movie, I just want to... Deborah Hill, I miss you. You were great. You were wonderful. Were you trying to tank this franchise?
She may have been, dude. Okay, so Deborah Hill recommends to Mustafa Akkad. He's French. French?
Yes.
French.
Very French.
Very well. He's very European. I just wanted to make sure he was French. If he's a Belgian, I don't want to miss.
Well, I'm pretty sure he's French.
Okay. Dominique Othenin-Gerard to direct Halloween 5. So Mustafa goes and sits down with this dude who claims that he has done a shit ton of market research, and he knows where the horror industry is going. He knows what the future is. He knows everything that's going to be the next big trend. And he sits down and he looks at Mustafa Akkad. He's like, "Do you want to keep making these movies?" And Mustafa says yes. So Dominique takes the script that he's just read for Halloween 5, throws it in the fucking trash and says, "This is not how you do it."
Well,
and he pitches him.
If I want to make an impression, by God, that's an impression.
It is. And he pitches a story to Mustafa and says, "This is how you keep the franchise. This is how you keep making Halloween movies." And Mustafa's iffy on the pitch. But Dominique says he'll write and direct, and he has a co-writer.
Yeah.
Mustafa says, okay, but not with your co-writer, with mine. And he hires a third writer to keep Dominique on track. Now...
Well, I'm intrigued because I recently heard the pitch that Dominique's partner was throwing out at the time.
Yeah.
It was very much almost a modern retelling of The Bride of Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Utilizing Michael Myers and American modern slasher horror tropes to tell the gothic story of getting what we want and being betrayed by it.
Right.
I don't know if that's a good movie, but that sounds like a good pitch.
Yeah, it does sound like a good pitch. But that guy doesn't get the opportunity. Dominique does. So what you end up getting is you get a movie that is shooting in a quick turnaround that has already reacquired locations in Salt Lake City for the tax breaks.
Yeah.
Just like last time. Just like we were talking about with Halloween 4. And they have certain set pieces that they were including in the previous draft that Dominique threw away, that must be incorporated in Dominique's draft. Dominique's adding new stuff.
Daily, if you will.
Daily, yes. So the idea of the children's hospital, children's clinic, that's there. Locking down the Carruthers house for a scene, that's there.
Yeah.
The Myers house, not there. That's something that Dominique brings in.
Yes.
And Dominique demands that it becomes bigger because it must stand up to a 20-minute action sequence.
It must be big and
gothic
and shadowy, and everything that Americans hide has to be in the shadows.
Except it's the Myers house. He has since gone on and said that there are no houses in Salt Lake City that look like that South Pasadena house. Bullshit. There are houses in random shots in Halloween 4 that look like they could be the Myers house.
There's the tracking shot as they pull up to the Carruthers house in Halloween 4.
That goes right next to a house with a weird gate and an overgrown lawn, and you're
Yep.
like, is that supposed to be the Myers house? I'd be fine with it if it was. I know it's not quite right.
And the houses look like they fit in right next door to
Yeah.
the Pasadena houses.
Exactly. So no, that's bullshit. That's a.
No, he wanted a Gothic mansion.
He wanted a Gothic mansion. He asked for a Gothic mansion. They let him have a Gothic mansion, and the problem is that no one in the process ever said no to this guy.
Yes.
Nobody ever said, Dominique, no, this is a Halloween movie. There's a look, there's a plan, we're moving forward. Another thing that Dominique wanted to change was he wanted to make Michael more human. He wanted to humanize Michael and humanize the mask, specifically.
Yes.
He didn't want a featureless mask. He wanted a mask that represented Michael, that made Michael a person.
Well,
Which is the exact opposite of what the Myers mask is meant to.
yes. Oddly enough, and this is the true failing of the Halloween 5 mask, is that it seems as if the designers followed both directives.
Yes, at the same time.
Yes.
Well, here's the other thing. We don't need to go that far. The failing of the Myers mask in Halloween 5 is that it sucks. I think we can just leave it. It sucks.
Well, I like
After the unfortunate mess that was having the iconic mask in more or less its normal form.
Yes.
In more or less the exact form it was in 1 and 2, with a little degradation of the mold. Not a lot. Enough that it's recognizable.
Yeah, they just
And then screwing it up to the point where it's completely unrecognizable.
yeah.
To then go to this, which is even further removed from the original, is just, it's damningly bad. And we are now at a point where the Myers mask, as we know it, will not be seen again.
Ever.
Ever. Ever. The William Shatner mask is gone. We will see a very, very, very close approximation of it in Rob Zombie's Halloween 1 at the beginning of the movie.
Yes.
And I mean a very close approximation, but it is not the actual mask.
Nope.
It's not the Shatner mold.
At all.
We will see a very, 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 very close approximation in Halloween 2018. I mean, that mask, for all it is, it looks like it is very well sculpted after the original, but it's not the same. It's not the same mold. It's close. It's real close. But 4 was the last opportunity to see the real deal.
Yes.
And it's gone. And they squandered it. And then they gave us this piece of shit that they put on Don Shanks. I'm mad just thinking about it. We're only like 15 minutes into this conversation. I'm already pissed at this movie. Okay, so other elements. The psychic link between Michael and Jamie is a Dominique thing, I have discovered. That was not in the draft prior to Dominique.
Makes sense.
Yeah. That's why it's kind of half-assed. Because literally they were shooting stuff without a script.
Yes.
Because he was moving so slow. And because he had thrown out a completed script that was well in pre-production to completely revamp a movie. And oh, what a movie we get. So, when last we saw Michael Myers, he was getting shot to shit by a crap ton of cops.
Yes.
And he fell into like a well thing.
And we assumed that was the end of him.
Of course, we assume that's the end because, I mean, they wouldn't bring him back for Halloween 5. You couldn't justify him surviving again. Except he does by crawling through a tunnel.
At the bottom of the well pit.
At the bottom of the pit he fell into and coming out and dropping into a river and floating downstream.
River Rapids Mike.
River Rapids Mike. And he flows right into this little ramshackle hut house built by some sort of vagrant who has a bird. And he collapses in the vagrant's house.
This was all pickup footage again, because the original thing they'd shot, and Mustafa said no.
Fair enough. Well, what did they originally shoot?
They originally shot, it was the same concept.
Yeah.
Except it's kind of, he's pulled out by multiple apocalyptic-looking people who are part of a death cult. The leader of whom was a character called Dr. Death.
Oh, Dr. Death. Dr. Death sounds like he's going to inspire something else. Sounds like he's going to kind of be the inspiration for the Men in Black. Or something similar.
Something. The idea then was, as in the movie, Michael Myers kind of sits in a comatose state for a year.
For a fucking year. Which is not explained. It's not like, oh, Michael's in a coma. No, he falls asleep in the dude's hut. He's in the exact same position in the dude's hut. And when a title card says 1 year later, and then he gets up.
And we see
as if nothing has changed.
Except we suddenly, for the first time ever, see a tattoo on his wrist.
Right. This is the first time we're introduced to this weird sort of triangular tattoo sitting on top of a line. It's almost like a P that goes, but the line goes up a little.
Yes. Now it's
called the Thorn Rune.
Now, what was shot, that's where it all ended, but the idea was then that this Dr. Death character was going to apply this rune to Michael Myers.
The Man in Black.
As well as body paint and other things. He's part of a death cult. He's oogie-woogie occultism. And he was going to be bringing Michael back to himself so that he could once again rain death upon Haddonfield. No, because the Men in Black was supposed to be his brother.
Dr. Death. So, what we end up getting, though, is this weird scene where it's implied that Michael Myers passed out, stayed that way for a year, and this vagrant dude just let him nap for 365 fucking days.
Yes.
Took his mask off so he wouldn't choke on his latex, hung it up on a hook for him, and then Michael repays that kindness by killing the dude.
Well, I mean,
that's what Michael does.
I mean, in that, it is true. That is holding within true to Michael's inherent, I'll just kill anybody.
True. But I mean, no muscle atrophy. Well, I mean,
to be
if
fair,
I'm arguing about muscle atrophy, I should have brought that up in Halloween 2.
I mean,
so I can't argue that here. I should have brought it up last time in Halloween 4. I can't argue it here. So I'll pull back from rational arguments like atrophy.
I mean, because what the doctor even brought up that argument in number 4.
Right? Yeah. It's true. But it's just, it doesn't make any goddamn sense. Because even Michael, in a coma in a hospital, is on a fucking feeding tube.
Yes.
He's getting nutrients.
It's even worse that originally this was supposed to be 2 years later.
Jesus Christ, he's supposed to have slept for 2 years?
Yes.
Jesus fucking Christ. He's just like...
Well, see, I actually...
Halloween! Oh, time to go!
I actually think Dominique intended to have him be dead. And the Dr. Death, through occultism...
Brought him back to life.
European occultism...
Brought him back to life.
Yes, that's what I think was the original intent. Which Mustafa said, no.
No, that's dumb.
We need
But this is the problem. Mustafa said no to stuff that was a no-brainer, but didn't say no to shit that really should have said no to. Dr. Death brings Michael back to life to terrorize Haddonfield. Okay, maybe say yes to that. It's compelling. It could be interesting. It could go down a unique road.
Yeah.
Michael Myers' house is gothic. mansion. Maybe say no to that. Pick your battles here. Like,
well, see,
the things he said no to, he should have said yes to. And the things he said yes to, he definitely should have said no to.
Well, see, the thing is, I don't think Mustafa was in Salt Lake City.
Oh, I definitely don't think Mustafa was in Salt Lake City, but dailies were going back to fucking L.A.
And I think with the Dr.
I'm
Death,
sure when they were scouting sets, scouting locations, and working out the budget for rentals, I'm damn skippy. Some of that went back to L.A. with photographs, and nobody in Mustafa's office went, this house here. It says the Myers house. This doesn't look anything like the Salt Lake City house. Guys, hello.
I'd almost bet that they just got a shot of the house.
Yeah.
Unlabeled.
Oh, that house. Yes, that would be good. For the party. Sure. Oh, this is party house.
Or, there's something going to happen in the house. This is a very good Gothic looking... This is a very scary house.
Right. So no one out in L.A. is like, no, goddammit. But you would think that there's at least a production assistant, somebody who's like, I'm working on a Halloween movie. What? This is not the house.
Well,
why is nobody saying to this guy, this is not the house?
Well,
this is a different... Ugh.
Part of what else is going on is this is the party Halloween.
Yes. Yes, it is. And by party, let's be honest, we mean drugged up motherfuckers don't care.
Well, and I actually mean partying.
Also, they are partying because a lot of these are, teenagers and they're cutting loose.
Or
young 20-somethings.
Young 20-somethings.
And a what at this point she's your age, right?
No, she's 2 years younger than I am.
But 3 years older than me. So she's 12, 11?
This would have been 89. I was 14.
I was 9.
She turned 12 on set.
Okay. So 3 years.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Well.
But the adults were partying. It has since been confirmed. So K&B is doing the makeup.
Yes.
The N of K&B, Greg Nicotero, is there.
Yes, indeed.
During the several weeks of shooting, he is dating Wendy Kaplan, who plays Tina.
Oh, I see.
They are partying in their hotels. They're using, at one point, Danielle Harris said she has small hands.
Right.
And so she can get into the locked booze holder. She can reach around. So they are having her pull out airplane bottles.
Oh my God.
And she's a 12-year-old who is hanging out with 22-year-olds.
Right. Ugh. Well, speaking of alcohol and Danielle Harris.
So party Halloween.
I did forget to include my favorite anecdote from Danielle Harris about Donald Pleasance on Halloween 4. It's if you've not watched any of the making of behind the scenes materials about Halloween 4 on the Blu-ray releases, on the DVDs, or on the Halloween 25 years later documentary.
Yeah.
Any of them. Watch them all. They're fascinating as fuck. But there's this great material piece where she's talking about working with Donald Pleasance, and she was like, and I didn't know what the smell on his breath was, but as an adult I do. It's bourbon. And it's cute the way she tells it, but It's just, so Donald Pleasance was just drinking bourbon to get through making this fucking movie, which makes perfect sense. I would too. So we've got this interesting opening to the movie where Michael has survived by going downstream, getting caught by this dude, woken up a year later, killed the guy. And then we discover that Jamie is having nightmares about Michael.
Yes.
That wake her up. She's attached to it's not an EKG because that's for your heart, but it's some sort of brain monitoring system. that's getting readouts, and she's screaming without making noise.
Yep.
She has some sort of an episode. They take her to it looks like an ER, but it's an operating room of some kind. Loomis shows up. Loomis, who is her. There's a doctor who thinks something is dreadfully wrong with this girl.
Yes.
And Sam Loomis is like, no, she has something to tell us.
And, like, the other doctor is, like, prepping emergency surgery.
Right.
Talking about tracheotomies.
Yes. So this is the immediate problem. We are now dealing with Crazy Pants Sam Loomis, who is obsessed with this idea that there's a connection between Jamie and Michael.
Yep.
And that Jamie's going to be able to help him find Michael and stop him once and for all. And that starts here in this scene. This very first scene in the movie, and there's no build-up to it. Loomis has already made that leap when we get here, which makes no fucking sense.
Must have been a really hard year.
Right. Like 88 to 89 must have been a really bad year.
I mean, I just remember sitting around waiting for Batman.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's weird. And Loomis is on board, like fully on board, like willing to let this girl possibly die because it's more important to find Michael Myers.
Also, I gotta go, hey, Donald Pleasance, trooper, man, for you being on board.
Oh, sure. I think frankly he's on board because of the way the script was written. Because, spoiler alert, there's an ending here that I think he saw as an ending.
Yes.
And was like, all right, this is it. I'll play this one to the hilt. I am Ahab. He's my white whale. Let's do it. And then I'm out. I'm done. And then he's not. So Sam has gone fucking crazy. The next day, Rachel is there when Jamie wakes up. She's asleep on the bed. And then this other girl, Wendy Kaplan's character, sneaks in through the window, and we get our first introduction to fucking Tina. That's right, Tina. She's Rachel's best friend, whom we've never heard of. Who I guess she became friends with after the trauma of the previous movie. She stopped hanging out with Lindsay and started hanging out with Tina. I don't know.
It's a trope in horror movies.
Yeah, it is.
Suddenly in a sequel, we have unrealized friends.
Yes, but I mean, she is integrated as if she has been there the whole time, and it doesn't really. There's no real like establishment of chemistry to see if there is any. And there really isn't between Danielle and Wendy. So it doesn't create a connection that's going to carry through the whole movie like the good chemistry and the good connection between Ellie Cornell and Danielle Harris that carried us through the previous movie. And it sets itself up, but it just doesn't quite... I don't know, it doesn't quite... build. It's introduced, and it's like Sam's jumping straight to the idea of, hey, there's some sort of psychic connection here, so I need to use it. There's no setup for it, and it doesn't quite pay off the way you want it to because it's not. There's no build. It doesn't go anywhere. It starts where it ends. Narratively, it's an odd choice.
I don't think it's an odd choice.
Well, it's a non-choice. Yes, but when you're setting up your characters at the beginning of a horror movie, and you're setting up those relationships to learn who everybody is, to raise the stakes for characters, it's an odd choice to not make a choice. That's where I'm going with that.
I think the underlying root is much like the flash in the Flash that Dominique gave to impress Mustafa that we talked about.
Right.
He cannot back it up as a writer.
Gotcha.
I don't think he's actually a writer.
No, I don't think he is. This is where we get the first... we get a thing that doesn't get followed up on. where some townie throws a brick through a window, establishing this idea that Haddonfield doesn't like Jamie Lloyd.
Yeah.
Because she's, related to the devil. Which is here and then gone. So it's another thing that's like, I really didn't need to be there. Because it establishes something that has no bearing on the rest of the movie. So it could have been...
For that, I wonder if it was one of the few things that he picked up from one of the other scripts.
Early drafts, or if it's something that he had intended to seed in for something else, and then it just got lost along the way. I'm not entirely sure. So, it smashes the windows. Rachel goes home, takes a shower. Jamie has a psychic vision. Tells Sam. Sam calls Rachel. Rachel runs outside to safety.
Yes.
And then the cops come. Deputy Nick and Deputy Tom.
I like one of them.
I get what they are, and I'm okay with it, except for the sound effects. I mean, they literally have vaudevillian sound effects.
Yes.
They are played as stupid cops, and that's cool. But they break the fourth wall to say that they're stupid cops. They have this weird soundtrack that points them out as stupid cops. Like it's a drastic shift in tone from the franchise. Like it's a drastic shift in tone from the previous movie where we had real police officers who got really killed. Now we have these two comic relief joke deputies.
I know,
and it's like I said, it's yet another odd choice, and that's kind of what this movie first act is. It's a series of odd choices.
You should listen to Dominique's commentary sometime.
God, I'm scared to. Like, what does he think of these things? Is he fine with them? Does he defend Nick and Tom?
He's like the movie is very dark. It needs humor.
That's not how you do that.
And then he says, if I were doing it today, I would tone back on the sound effects.
How about no sound effects?
I don't know what he means by tone back. Hopefully that means none.
Yeah, well, no, because hopefully, I don't think he's making another version of Halloween 5, so it's moot.
But the off-putting humor, and I'm not defending.
Oh,
but I think it cuts purely into his Europeanness.
Right. And that's fine, but here's where it becomes a problem. Too much of this movie is defended by saying, but he's European. This movie is a Halloween movie, and it needs to be judged on the merits of a Halloween movie. And frankly, do these cops fit in a Halloween movie? Would they fit in John Carpenter's Halloween?
They would not fit in any Halloween. They would not fit in any horror movie.
Exactly.
This, I believe, and I'm not defending, like I said.
You are a little.
Because
you do enjoy this movie somewhat.
This is a European, a Frenchman, trying to shoehorn in some Jerry Lewis
right
into a horror movie.
Right. Loomis does some more creepy yelling at Jamie. Rachel, since it's all the whole call seems to be a false alarm, goes back into her house to, put clothes on. She and the dog go inside. The dog who ran away and came back. False alarm, it's all false alarm. Except, nope, it's not a false alarm. Michael Myers is in the house. and stabs Rachel with some scissors.
Yes.
So Loomis then goes to have a chat with Meeker that really is just there to establish that Meeker's in the movie. I mean, frankly, it's a perfunctory conversation. Like, do you remember what happened? Of course I remember. It goes back to that Dominique's not a writer.
And to be honest, there's a moment there in script, in movie, I wanted Meeker to deck Loomis.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Do you remember your own daughter?
As if he'd forget.
And then this is where script changes came into play, because Loomis says, my memory goes back 12 years to the night I sacrificed, and then he shows his burned hand, because it was supposed to be 2 years later in the one in a draft that Dominique had written.
So yes, Tina shows up at the Carruthers place, but Rachel's not there. So she comes in, makes herself at home, hangs out for a little bit, until Sammy shows up.
Yes.
These girls who just let themselves into the Carruthers house.
Well,
I mean, you go to your friend's house, but if your friend's not there.
Well, earlier there was a talk
of
in the Rachel and Tina
out.
scene that Rachel is going away to hang out with her parents, and she is letting her friends use her house for a party that weekend.
Yes.
So
they expect that they have access.
Yes.
But they're very comfortable in there. These are those friends. Those friends who come in and hang out in your house, play with your shit, drink your beer.
Well, I mean, I may or may not have done that with friends.
So you were one of those friends. Ooh.
Well, sometimes I feed your dog, too.
Well, I don't have a dog. You can feed my cat.
Well, not you. I mean, I'm saying the friend's house that I go in when they're not there and they have a dog.
Right.
I fed the dog.
Right. Sure. So Tina and Sammy go and they hang out, and they get picked up by Michael. Michael is Tina's boyfriend, who drives a Camaro.
Yes. It's like a 67 or 68.
A rather nice Camaro. It's amazing that there's a dude named Michael in a movie with Michael Myers. It's almost like that's set up for something. I have next in my notes, more crazy Loomis yelling about Michael. And then the man in black gets off the bus. Man in jangly boots and a long duster, and a big black hat. The man in black.
See, I had my note was angry Loomis.
So, see, you go angry, I go crazy.
And then man in black, Loomis at the not Myers house.
Loomis goes to the Myers house like he's just going on a tour, like he's doing the rounds. It's like the opening of Rocky Balboa, where Rocky goes to all the places from the Rocky movies. Like Sam Loomis is taking his yearly Halloween tour.
Yes.
He's like, I'm gonna go to the police station, then I'm gonna go to the Myers house, and I'm gonna make sure, and he's gonna be there, and then I'm gonna stop him. Like he's just every year. I like the idea that he's got Paulie with. I mean, well, he's like the Sam Loomis version of Paulie with him. I can't do this again.
I like that he's on his Halloween track.
Yeah.
That he does, regardless of he's encountered Michael that year or not.
Like every year he just shows up at the police station. Michael Myers is on his way. Is he? Nobody could be.
No, he's locked up at Ridgemont.
You don't know. 15 years. Staring at a wall, not seeing the wall. I'm going to go to the Myers house. And he just goes to the Myers house and hangs out. I know you're here, Michael.
Except he's not. He's in a coma at the Hermit Shack or in a coma at Ridgemont.
Right. Or,
Or just disappeared in between here and 6.
Exactly.
Although I do imagine that the first year after this, Loomis is in no state to make that speech.
Do you think maybe he sits down once a year with Reverend Jackson P. Sayer and just goes over, they swap notes?
Do you want a drink?
I think that'd be wonderful. I'd watch that movie too. But Loomis is not alone in the Myers house.
No.
And you think, based on this sort of POV shot that kind of moves to indicate that somebody's watching him, you think it's Michael.
Yes.
But then these jangly boots that got off the bus step out. And, oh, the man in black is here.
Yes.
Got it.
However, you are not off on the fact that you would think that Michael is there because the POV shot is set up as if it is Michael.
Yeah.
Based on the height of the man in black.
They're played by the same stuntman.
Yes.
They're both. It's Don Shanks, because you pointed it out earlier. There is this idea that the man in black is originally supposed to end up being Michael Myers' brother.
Yes.
Which, thank goodness, it doesn't, because that makes even less sense than Laurie Strode being Michael Myers' sister.
Yes.
Like, one Myers/Strode family member who kind of gets lost in the shuffle is one thing. Two, I don't think so. That's too much.
Plus, while I can based on having watched movies and series as they go on, we're 5 deep. Now is the time for a twin reveal.
Yes. But it's real hard to do when
Yes.
you've already done a sibling reveal. So then we have a nice shot of Michael, the person, not the serial killer,
Yep.
waxing his car until Michael, serial killer, not the person, shows up with some garden implements to scratch up his trunk and then kill him
Yes.
with a rake, which is kind of fun.
Well, it's the super prongy rate.
Yes.
Like
Yes. And while it is a very basic kill, I gotta say that the actor playing Mike, we'll call him Mikey, he sells it.
Yes.
He sells it really well. Like, he twitches and does some really good death acting. Now, this takes Michael back to somewhat of his more playful self, this next sequence. Because Michael actually does a thing. He steals Tina's boyfriend's car.
Yep.
And drives it to the Carruthers house, wearing a mask
That Tina got for her boyfriend,
that
Mikey.
Tina got for Michael, to go pick Tina up to take her to the Tower Farm party,
Yes.
so that he can go kill the kids at the Tower Farm party.
Yeah.
Now, why Michael's concerned about going to the Tower Farm party does not really jump out at me, because
Well, actually,
that's the moment where I do feel like it ceases to be a Halloween movie and becomes generic slasher.
Well, see, the thing is, I don't know if he's actually even thinking of the Tower Farm party.
Or is he just gonna-
He's just picking Tina up
Tina.
to kill Tina.
But then he goes to the Tower Farm party without her and arrives before her.
No, it arrives after her.
He does arrive after her. Okay. It
Because
felt like it was before.
The cops who take Tina
Right.
to the party see him pull up.
Right. Okay, so maybe he's just going after Tina. But why is he going after Tina? He just needs to go after Jamie. Like, that's his goal.
He never gets to his goal.
So he's just like, I'm
Right.
going to take out the thing closest to my goal.
Yes.
I'm just
And-
doing collateral damage.
And
this year.
on the last time that I watched this movie, which was 2 days ago,
Yeah.
Michael is always in the background.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. When he's visibly in the background, he's always a big dude, and it bothers me. But he is like 35 feet away behind Tina at several points where Tina is talking about how she's going to go see Jamie.
Right. So maybe he thinks that she will lead him to Jamie.
Yeah.
That makes some sense. That's some logic that can be applied to the movie that's not necessarily baked in, though. But sure, okay. So he picks Tina up, wearing this mask, and they go off on this sort of weird, bad driving, bad date adventure where he's basically being a jerk boyfriend.
Yeah.
But there's some nice interplay there. Michael pretending to be somebody else wearing this mask. Like, there's layers here, and it's kind of fun.
It may be the only inspired. Folks,
Yeah.
I love this movie. I really, it's not good. It's a bad movie, but I love it. And the sequence in the car with the layering and the Michael and the mask and the playfulness may be the only bit of inspired writing in this movie.
Yes, I think I can agree with that. Because it actually feels like it's trying to do something for
Yes.
The rest of the movie really is, it's like it's ticking off the boxes of what belongs in a horror movie. But it's really like it's a list that's culled from multiple movies. Like, okay, I saw this in this movie, I saw this in a movie, I saw this in a movie, I saw this in a movie, so these are the things that I have to do. But that's from this franchise that is very unique, and that's from this franchise that is very unique, and when you're ticking off those boxes, you're really not telling a cohesive story. Like the Tower Farm Party, which we'll get to in a little bit, feels very much the way it's shot, like a POV Friday 1, Friday 2.
See, I totally got a Slumber Party Massacre feel from it.
Well, I mean, there's similar vibes. I mean, one is more cohesive than the other, but I mean, they track in the same vein. That a Halloween movie doesn't really visually go in, so it's kind of a departure from what's expected, which is cool when it goes into new territory, but when it goes into already mined territory, it muddies it. It makes it a little murky. So Tina goes into the store to get some smokes. There's a Halloween party at the clinic. And we get Billy, who is Jamie's friend.
Yes.
With a stammer.
Yes.
And Jamie can't talk. I think I said that earlier. And she has another psychic fit, and she sees Tina is in danger. So we have this very unique scene where the girl who can't talk is being translated by the boy with the stammer.
Yes.
To explain where the replacement final girl is in the sequence.
Yes.
And it goes on just a beat too long, I think. Like it's a neat concept. It's a game of telephone. But it's like a 45-second sequence to say the word Cookie Woman, when it could have been a 30-second sequence and been just as effective.
Yeah.
Probably more so. But everybody knows who the Cookie Woman is. Like,
well, I mean, if I lived in this town and somebody said Cookie Woman, I would know that it is this store.
Right. That's true. So the cops just go and pick up Tina. Michael hoofs it because cops.
He's not dumb.
He's not dumb, but he legs it, and the cops bring Tina to the children's hospital so that she can sit down with Jamie and Dr. Loomis, and Loomis informs her what's going on, or as best he can. And she's going to go to the party. And she tells Jamie she's going to this party.
At this point, we are 46 minutes into the movie.
And finally, Jamie Lloyd speaks.
Yes. That's
all she says is the name of the character, Tina.
And then they have a conversation in the bed where she's like, "Why are you going to the party?" And she's like, "Jamie, at some point in your life, you're going to meet these people who make you feel these things, blah, blah, blah." And she's crying and no. And then Tina's running down the stairs, and Loomis is trying to stop her.
Yep.
And Tina goes, "You're really creepy, you know?"
And that is the most insightful moment her character has in the whole movie, because she's spot on. This man is not the Sam Loomis of old. He is creepy. And she leaves to go to the Tower Farm party, and the cops take her there.
Which is great, because Loomis is telling the cops to stop that girl, and it's the dumb cops.
Yeah.
I feel had Had it been any of the other cops that show up later in the movie.
Right. See, that's the thing. Once the stupid cops are out of the way, I like the cops in this movie.
Yeah.
Like
Charlie
is that I love that cop. The interactions with that cop are perfect. I almost think someone else wrote those scenes because they're cohesive. Yeah.
So the cops are like, on whose orders? So, and then they go out, they follow her. They're like, blah, blah, blah. So she's like, if you're going to follow me, will you just take me to the Tower Farm?
And they do.
And they do, because they're not good cops.
And they say as much. They say they are terrible cops.
I know. That's coming up soon.
Yes. Go to the Tower Farm party.
Billy's in the background, and he overhears where they're taking Tina.
Yes. And he and Jamie in a little bit will sneak out to go find Tina.
But I do.
Sammy and her boyfriend Spitz decide to play a prank on the stupid cops, where Spitz will put on the Michael Myers costume and pretend to kill Sammy.
Well, he's going to pretend to kill Tina.
Tina, yes. And then reveal that he's not really Michael Myers.
Which all this says to me is that last year in '88, Spitz was definitely not one of the three in the multiple Myers scene.
Right. He wouldn't do that twice. He would not do that twice. And the cops kind of have a conversation with them about it, but don't do anything. And this is where they say, we're bad cops.
Like, one of you could be dead, but we're bad cops.
So then Sammy and Spitz and Tina go hang out in the barn, and they find some kittens. And Tina goes off to find a kitten because it goes wandering off. And Sammy and Spitz go to find a different kind of cat altogether. A different kind of pussy, if you will.
I have a barn. I hate this scene. It goes on for fucking ever.
It does go on for fucking ever, and it doesn't match the visual style of the rest of the movie. It's shot like it's something else. There's weird POV shots from every character's POV. Like, everybody gets a POV shot, and then there's a Michael POV shot. I think I may be imagining it, but there's so many POV shots. At one point, I start to think that maybe there was a cat POV shot.
It's possible.
I think there was. So yes, they Sammy and Spitz have a little groin time, and Michael pitchforks Spitz in what you think is totally going to be a Friday style double kill.
Yes.
Like, it's set up for it, and then it's not.
It's not.
Sammy and Michael have a bit of a chase scene. Michael has a scythe. Sammy fights back a little bit. I'll give her that.
What I like. Sometimes like this, I noticed like the sound design. Because to fight Michael, she pulls the pitchfork out of Spitz, and there's this noise as the pitchfork comes out of his body, which is this amazingly gross sounding special effect. And it just, last time it popped. It was so loud that I actually got creeped out by something in this movie.
And she does jab at him with a pitchfork, but he's got a scythe. Which has much longer reach. And Sammy doesn't have a head. Then we get down to the sort of running Tina chase, which goes on like the barn sequence. It goes on just a little too long.
Yes.
Like, it starts a little earlier than you expect, and it ends much later.
Well, this is. So Michael is chasing both Tina and Jamie down with the Camaro.
Well, first we get to the point where he's actually physically chasing Tina on foot. Hasn't gotten to the car yet.
Yeah.
This is when she discovers that the two dumb cops have been pitchforked to death in their car, which we'll come back to that when we get to worst kill. I wanted to see those fuckers die.
I just want to see one of them die.
Well, yeah. But, so we do get a bit of a foot chase before Jamie and Billy show up, and then the three of them start lighting off together, and that's when Michael starts chasing them down with the car. Chasing them down with the car, by the way, was the most dangerous stunt.
Yes.
In this movie, it almost killed Wendy Kaplan. It almost killed Jamie Lee. It almost killed Danielle Harris.
Almost killed Don Shanks.
Yes. Because Dominique kept going take after take after take, and this scene was not safe.
No. Like, literally, it was shot like you see it. So when the car looks to be 20 inches behind the running children,
it is.
The car is 20 inches behind the running children.
Yeah.
And at one point, Jamie Lloyd,
Danielle Harris
has to fall correctly, or she's going to get run over by the fucking car.
Yep.
Luckily,
she fell correctly.
She fell on her mark, and Don Shanks, as the stunt driver of the car, was on his mark.
Either one of them been off by an inch, one of them would be severely wounded or dead because of this grossly irresponsible stunt.
Both of them have gone on record saying just how much they despised this.
Yeah.
Well, Don has gone on to say how much he despised it. Danielle's gone on to say, as an adult, she realized how much in danger she was.
Yeah.
As a 12-year-old, I remember 12-year-olds. I was sliding in and off of cars.
Yeah.
Like, she did not, because you're 12, you're invincible.
Yeah, sure. But it was dangerous, and the director put them in that situation. But the car chase goes on for a long time because Michael splits them up. He's chasing Billy with the car. He's chasing Jamie with the car. He's chasing Tina with the car until he slams into a tree. And then he gets out and he starts chasing Jamie on foot. And this is where Tina has the moment where she rises above her sort of vapid, self-centered character who is out for herself and her own gratification and steps beyond that and sacrifices herself for Jamie.
Yes.
She rises above the limitations of her character, and it's a moment that we had a little bit more of an arc for her, would have been well earned. But since we spent so much time in hedonist Tina land, we have this moment that is compelling, but we never saw the arc of it land. And that's on Dominique as a writer. And I think it wasted Wendy Kaplan's performance because it kept her in a territory that's really, it's a very narrow win. Because some of the audience is going to like it and some of the audience is going to hate it, and there's no middle ground. You either love that character or you hate that character.
Yes, I love that character.
I do not. She's too not Halloween for me. She's too this side of normal for me. Because Halloween teenagers tend to be, lived in and real, and she's not. I don't know what it is, but had we just built a better arc for the character where we start somewhere and show a little growth before we get to this moment, I think it would have been a stronger performance. Because I don't blame a lot of it on Wendy Kaplan. I blame it on the writing. She's a badly written character.
See, there is a moment when she is alone in the Crothers house at the beginning, where she is lying in Rachel's bed, listening to the radio.
Yeah.
And there's a very introspective. She plays it very introspective. You can see it on her face that at that moment she is not the vapid.
No,
but
definitely. But it's so fleeting, and that's a personal moment that I think the actor probably dug out for herself.
Well, see, I don't know, or if that is the level of the writing. Like he hit. We're doing this moment here.
Right, like it's in the script, but it's not actually. It's not arced; it's just mapped.
Yes, like
right.
that
is very possible.
Like the arc that you wanted, he could not provide. He gave you a start and an end, and could not arc it.
Right, but at the end result of that though is that she's on an even keel the whole time. But her level is just a little bit higher than it needs to be. It's a little more histrionic than some scenes require. So it's a tone that some people find grating. And if a more deft director would have helped her find those levels. And I feel like it would have been a stronger performance, and it probably would not be as derided as it is. And it wouldn't be on the bottom of the stack of most people's rankings. I mean, yeah.
Yeah,
Tina's performance, not the movie itself, because there's a lot of flaws in the movie, and a better arc for Tina doesn't fix the movie. It just fixes this.
Like it's in a lot of people's rankings, it's either dead last or one right before dead last. Right. I rank it one just before dead last.
I rank it dead last. So the cops show up, and Michael runs away.
Into the woods.
They take Jamie, and they take her to safety. Everybody leaves. Michael...
He's still in the woods.
And
Loomis is talking in the woods.
Loomis is hanging back so he can talk to the woods. And he tells Michael to go home. Go home, Michael. Go home. So Loomis has organized a trap for Michael at the Myers house. The Gothic Mansion Myers house. And this is where we have the Charlie and Jamie scene that is so well written. I guarantee you it was written by the writer that Mustafa paired with Dominique. Or I suspect what happened is he paired the writer with Dominique, and Dominique wrote everything and pitched stuff. And I suspect as they were getting further and further behind, this guy started writing more and more stuff on his own.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure this is a scene he wrote entirely on his own. It doesn't feel like it has the fingers of the other storyteller in it at all. This feels... Actually, this may have actually been in the script that was written before Dominique showed up. Either or,
because
this feels compelling. It's well written. It's a great character moment that defines who this character is in less than 2 minutes.
Yes.
And it helps you define who Jamie Lloyd is at that moment. It's a deft piece of screenwriting, and we've not seen that at any point throughout the rest of the movie. So I suspect it's written by somebody else. And it's just Charlie, Deputy Charlie, working out a signal with Jamie. So if she's in any trouble, she just taps her hairbrush.
Yeah.
And he'll pop out. And he's just doing everything that he can to reassure this little girl, who's now being used as bait for Michael Myers. Like, that's brilliant. It's brilliantly conceived.
Yes.
It doesn't stand up to what comes after it, though. So that's why I think it's the writer that got paired with him, because it is fundamentally connected to the ending sequences.
Yes.
So it feels like it's integral. But it rises far above most of what comes after. So while they're setting up, the cops get a call from the clinic. And they rush off to go, like, en masse.
Yes. Rush
off to go figure out what's up. They leave behind Deputy Eddie and Deputy Charlie. And Sam Loomis. Deputy Eddie gets crushed to death in his car. Deputy Charlie tries to call it in, but Sam breaks the radio in his hand, throws it up against the wall because Sam is gone round the fucking bend. Sam is not. Sam is not in the Union anymore.
Well, I
with us.
I can sort of see what Sam's doing.
Oh yeah, sure.
His whole thing is, if those cops turn back, I'm not going to get my chance to kill Michael because Michael's going to see the cops and bounce.
Yes, certainly. However, it's a dumb move. Let him call it in. Ugh. So this is where Loomis tries to reason with the hurricane. He sits down. He didn't sit down, but he's trying to convince Michael that Jamie can help him end it all and everything's fine. And Michael starts to see it Sam's way, or so it looks like. He's about to hand his knife over to Sam Loomis, and then nope, slashes him.
Yes. Also, there's this focus that Loomis has on Michael this time that's never been present before about this whole rage thing.
His rage. His rage.
I don't know
where that comes from.
I don't know which one of the writers decided to go that route.
Whichever it was, the reason I think it's Dominique is because it's not something that's present in the other movies.
Yeah.
It's something invented for this one. So I think that's why. I think that's why it's him. So Loomis gets slashed across his gut. Deputy Charlie tries to bust him and Jamie out through a window.
Yep.
Michael shows up, and Deputy Charlie gets hanged. The cops get to the clinic, and they find a number of bodies. The doctor, the nurse.
Yeah.
And then we have the laundry chute scene, which, much like the car sequence, because I liked the car chase sequence. I did. I feel icky about it now that I know how dangerous it is.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it just makes me cringe that I know that these actors are in, like, real danger. Like, that's, ugh. I feel the same about the laundry chute scene.
Yes, that.
Like, when you first see it, you're like, oh, this is tense. Oh, my God. She's acting so well. She's like I believe that Danielle Harris believes that she's in danger. And then you find out that Danielle Harris believes she's in danger because Danielle Harris is in fucking danger. Because Don Shanks is stabbing into this fucking laundry chute that she's in with a real fucking knife.
And she's in it.
So they can She doesn't need to be in it. You know what I mean? Like, why, as a director, that is never a choice you would do.
Like,
for the scenes from the outside where he's actually stabbing it, you don't need an actress inside. To stab through to scenes where she's inside, you don't need a real knife. You need pilot lines and a false knife. I feel like, are things like, is there no safety control in French film? That's my worry. Is it like, is this a cultural thing where he just is used to a different level of filmmaking and he didn't run this by anybody? Because it feels very, if it's not, then he's blatantly disregarding the safety of his actors. And that bothers me.
Because I believe,
like, we've talked about some unsafe conditions when we talked about the Crystal Lake movie, the Friday movies and the Crystal Lake series. We talked about some in the Nightmare series where situations got untenable. But none of them were like this.
But this started untenable.
Right. This started at, this should never have happened.
Yes.
This goes back to my point way earlier in the beginning where somebody needed to tell this guy no.
This is where a stunt coordinator
Don
says
Shanks, as stunt coordinator.
I don't think Don Shanks was the coordinator.
See, that may be your problem. Because we've had moments like this in Halloween movies where things go a little,
Yes.
And every time, up to that point, the stunt coordinator has been Michael Myers.
Yes.
And kind of had the power to be like, no, that's not happening. I'm not going to let this happen. And same thing over on the Fridays, where the stunt coordinator was usually Jason Voorhees.
See, I don't...
And had a little power to step in and go, I'm not doing this scene this way because that's not safe for that actress.
Yes.
Nobody was in the position to do that here.
I don't think Don Shanks was, because he tells an anecdote about the car crash.
Right.
Where he crashes the car and it catches on fire. And it catches on fire, and the fire is coming up through the firewall. And the stunt coordinator is looking at Dominique to say cut. And he's just sitting in the car waiting for Dominique to yell cut.
Right.
And he's waiting for the stunt coordinator to nudge Dominique.
To say cut.
And Dominique is just watching it like somebody watching a movie.
See, that's a moment where you're better served having your stunt coordinator be somebody who actually has to be in the scene.
Yeah.
Because it has to be safe for him, and it has to be safe for the people that he's working with. So he's bound to be a little more invested. Because, like, this is a really tense scene, but it's now ruined for me. And that... Because while we never actually, made a finished film, I always thought about what I'd be like as a director and, how I would run a set. And the safety of your actors is the most important part. You don't get somebody hurt. You don't get somebody killed. It's just bad.
Well,
it taints the production in a way that...
Well, I got very... once I found out it was a real knife stabbing through, because there's a shot of Danielle who's in ballerina shoes.
Yep, stepping
on the blade.
Yeah, not the flat, the blade.
Yes.
Yes, the stunt coordinator was Don Pike. So no, it was not Don Shanks. And oddly enough, Don Shanks is not even listed as a stunt on the stunt team.
And then while she's in the tunnel, she's because she was 12 years old and a teeny girl.
Yeah,
because she's small.
Yep.
That was a real laundry chute. Like,
yeah.
It wasn't a set. And she got in and wedged herself in and did the whole arm and arm on a wall and leg and a leg on a wall to balance herself. And did this for hours. At any second, she could have fallen.
None of this should have happened.
No.
Not a single thing. And I'm sure the last thing you guys wanted as an audience was to listen to the brothers Blanchard do a 20-minute lecture on health and safety. But for fuck's sake, like, this is criminally negligent. This is bad.
This is
terrible.
I've spent years, literally years of my life, working in recreation centers, working with children of various ages from 3 to 12.
Yep.
And just the idea that this happened,
yep.
To my adult mind, I cannot figure it out. Because I had to do so much with regards to children's safety, that for this just to be so negligent. I understand it was the wild, free 80s and everything.
Yeah.
However,
still, that's way beyond the pale.
This is not wild and free 80s. This is
bad.
Today, if this happened today, this would be child endangerment, and Dominique Othenard would be brought up on charges.
Yep.
If somebody found out.
But thankfully, and we can get back to the movie, Danielle Harris is fine.
She climbs out of the chute.
She survives to be in more Halloween movies, just not as Jamie Lloyd. Spoilers. If you're listening to these and you haven't actually watched the Halloween movies, I don't know why you're listening to us.
Really? I mean,
we're engaging.
Are we that entertaining?
Well, I mean, it's Halloween 5. I feel like we are more... This conversation is probably more entertaining than the actual movie. I don't think that's hard. So she climbs all the way up the laundry chute, finds her way into the attic. And this is where we have the final girl tour, where she finds dead bodies.
Yeah.
Because this time she is the final girl.
Yes.
Last time it was Rachel. This time it is Jamie. And this is where we find the body of Max the dog, Michael, Rachel. And this is where we have this sort of strange, Gothic-inspired sequence where Jamie gets in a coffin.
Earlier in the movie, folks, we skipped it over, but Michael dug up a coffin of a 9-year-old girl.
Yeah. I forgot to mention it. Yes, so Jamie's in that coffin, and Michael's trying to kill her, and you know she manages to stun him into silence by saying Uncle Boogeyman, and he stops. He stops trying to stab her, and she asks to see his face.
I just kind of think that he's happy for the first time in years somebody's looking at him not yelling Michael.
Right. And asks to take his mask off, and he does. And everything's cool for a second. Everything's fine. He sheds a little tear. Everything's cool.
She's going to reach up and wipe it away.
And then he's going to freak the fuck out. He's going to flip shit.
Why'd you try to touch him, Jamie?
He's gonna throw that coffin. He's gonna break that thing over there. He's just tearing apart the attic.
However, that gives her a chance to run out of the attic.
It does, and run straight into Sam Loomis, who is very much alive.
Oh wow, it's Loomis. He's gonna protect her.
No, he's not.
No, he is. That's what he does.
No.
I watched the last movie.
No, he's fucking lost it.
In 4, he protected Jamie.
Yeah, I know. If you've been watching this movie, dude has lost it.
He would not endanger a little girl.
Yes, he would. And he does. Catch the little girl, Michael. Catch the little girl.
Like, he's gonna...
She's the one you want. Come and get her.
And I love... like, he's got Jamie under one arm, and then he's gonna throw her. And I just love little Danielle Harris, whose arms are waggling and feet are waggling. It's like, no, you're not. Don't throw him. What the hell are you doing, old man?
Yep. And sure enough, he's able to lure Michael forward into a trap that he has laid. He does the thing, and some industrial chain falls from the ceiling.
Like a huge chain.
Huge chain. And then Sam starts shooting him with tranq darts.
Like Sam called Acme before he went to the Myers house.
He went to Sunnydale and he borrowed the kit that Buffy had to deal with werewolves. Something. And he decides that this is not enough, and he needs to pull out a 2x4 and beat Michael to death.
Like it was like 4 tranks.
Yeah,
like elephant gun tranks.
So Sam grabs this 2x4 and literally beats the shit out of Michael until screaming die. Yes,
die
until he collapses on top of Michael in what is never explained within this movie, but was meant to be a stroke. Or a heart attack.
Or death. Yes, like a stroke causing death, a heart attack causing death, something.
And this is what I hinted at earlier. I believe the reason that Donald Pleasance played the craziness of Loomis to the hilt, was so gung-ho for it, was because he thought this was his good death scene and his escape from this franchise.
Yes.
Like, this is it. I'm done. I did 4 of the 5. Now I can leave.
As stroked out, Loomis is laying on top of unconscious Michael, or unmoving Michael, because I don't know if he's unconscious or not because he's got a mask on. We start to see red and blue lights flashing across their faces. The cops have returned from the clinic because while finding dead bodies, they found no Michael Myers.
Right. And we have this nice dissolve into this scene of Michael chained up and playing with his chains, which is weird, but chained up in a jail cell.
Why did they let him keep the mask on?
Yeah, that was weird.
this is Big Ben Meeker.
Yeah.
Like I'm expecting that mask ripped off.
Right? But it's not. And then any sort of narrative consistency of the film completely breaks down.
There's this great moment where Meeker is telling Jamie, well, he's going to go to state prison. He's going to be in there till the day he dies. And poor Jamie, after the experience of 2 Halloweens, says dejectedly, he'll never die.
Okay, and that is where any narrative consistency of the movie breaks down. I called it too early, because you're right, that scene does happen. And then we have the jangly boots.
Yeah.
And these neon-lit hallways straight out of an episode of Silk Stockings on USA. And the Man in Black has shown up to free Michael Myers by like a bomb of some sort, exploding something.
3 explosions at least, as well as massive amounts of semi-automatic gunfire.
Gunfire, exactly. And then when all of that has finally settled,
we get Jamie.
We get Jamie
coming back in,
walking back in, seeing the corpses of these cops, and the rended, ripped, and sort of remolded jail cell door.
Yep.
And no Michael Myers.
No.
And that is the end of the movie. Yay, we're done. Halloween 5.
Well, see, in one regard, I get what he was trying to accomplish, because we get these ambiguous endings to 1 and 4.
Yeah.
So he's going for that, but it doesn't work because the ambiguous endings to 1 and 4 fit within the confines of their movies,
right?
Their respective movies,
right? This is just a tacked on thing to generate a sequel.
Yes.
And unlike the Dr. Death thing, Dr. Death, this is just there. Like, had the Dr. Death thing been there and somehow the Man in Black been connected to that, this might have made more sense.
Yes.
But it wasn't. And it didn't.
Had it been the long-lost twin brother with the psychic connection that finally completes the triad and tied up with Jamie and Michael, coming to free Michael from behind bars, because he is the super ego, and Michael is the id, and Jamie is the ego.
Sure.
That would be
a thing. It wouldn't be this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's Halloween 5. I know you enjoy it.
I do.
I can barely bring myself to watch it. It just doesn't work for me. I know you can look past a lot of the flaws. I can't.
Well,
I can't.
The further I get, I really only like it up until Jamie starts talking.
Well, that's only 40 minutes.
It's 46 minutes. It's half of the
movie.
movie.
It's half the movie, but it's still, it's only 40 minutes of the movie. And then the rest of it just falls to shit.
But I only really like the first half of the movie now.
Fair enough. See, I don't like any of it. There's no half of this movie I like. There are individual scenes I really enjoy. Like the Charlie and Jamie scene is probably the most charming scene I've ever seen in a horror movie. Like it just feels natural and real. Loomis's stuff it's so off the wall, but it's so good. Like his performance is top notch. Like even here in this movie that makes no goddamn sense, he's at the top of his game.
Yes.
As an actor. Yeah. The catch the little girl scene's funny. Yeah. So, Best kill.
That's the problem, because the kills in this movie suck balls.
That's... Best kill. Mikey. Caveat. None of the kills are good.
Yes.
That is the note I wrote.
Mine.
Best kill, Michael. Caveat. None of these kills are good. They're all terrible.
The best kill is Mikey. I like the visual image of Michael Myers swinging the scythe.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like the kill that it goes with.
No. And I don't like the blood splatter that goes along with it either. Like, just the scythe itself is good.
Yes.
What goes with it is not. I almost feel like that scythe belongs in the hands of George Wilbur in the next movie. I mean, he uses a thresher, and he does use a scythe, but it's not the same scythe.
Well, it's an axe.
Yeah, it's an axe. But it feels like he should have a scythe in that barn scene.
Yeah.
It's amazing how one barn scene feels not like a Halloween movie, and another barn scene feels exactly like a Halloween movie.
Yeah.
And that's the dichotomy between 5 and 6 right there. It's like they both do wacky shit that doesn't necessarily make sense. They're both narratively inconsistent. They're both written on the fly. They're both largely reshot. They're both, I mean, like, exact same problem. Both shot in Salt Lake City. Boom, boom, boom. Run the list. But one of them manages to create a tone that is sort of just pastiche 1989 horror movie.
Yeah.
And the other, years later, manages to create a tone that is Halloween.
And some fans have argued that outside of John Carpenter's Halloween, it has the most Halloween mood.
Yeah,
Number 6.
I would say so.
But we'll save that for next week.
We will talk about that next week, indeed. But it's just interesting to note that similar problems between the two movies.
Yeah.
I mean, almost across the board. I mean, the narrative arc between Kara Strode is just as limited as the narrative arc for Tina. Kara Strode is just as divisive a character as Tina is.
For entirely different reasons.
The Jamie Lloyd character is used in a terrible way in both movies.
Yes.
Like, fundamentally, every single problem that crops up in 5 crops up again in 6. In a different way, but the outcome is better. Not good. They're both bad movies, but better. And that's something we will talk about next week. But I do believe we have to look at Financial Corner, see what's going on over there.
Yeah.
So yeah, Halloween 5. Now, spoiler alert, folks. We talked about this movie earlier in terms of context of number of years that the franchise went dark.
Yeah.
We talked about it with number 3, and we mentioned that it would happen again in number 5.
Yes.
So, Halloween 5, what's the budget?
We're down from 4. 4 was $5 million.
So we're saving some money.
We're saving $2 million. We're down to $3 million budget.
Okay. And how much did we make?
$11,600,000. Some change.
So once again, we're about 3 times our budget.
3 times our budget.
So it's no less successful in terms of percentage of profit.
Percentage about the same.
It's on target with Halloween 4. And it's law of diminishing averages kind of loss, not legitimate loss.
In fact, it is closer to 4 times than number 4 was.
See, so it even did a little bit better.
Percentage-wise.
And ticket prices didn't change all that much.
No.
So yeah, that's good. I mean, that's consistent.
That is consistent. However, on the scale of what you...
First off, 1989 was a bloodletting of movies. Because there were so many movies in the marketplace.
Yes.
That bad movies and movies that may have gotten a better shot in 1988 or 1987. Yeah. Or 1990. Just got shredded. Part of it is that the summer season was so big. I mean,
yes.
89 is, fucking the year of the bat.
The first movie to make $30 million in one weekend.
Right. Also, it's the summer of, Indiana Jones. It's the summer of, boom, 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 boom. All these movies. And all these hugely successful movies in the summer.
Yes.
All of them came out on video in the fall.
Yes.
So people who, because, let's face it, movies had been coming out on VHS for a while. VHS market well established by 1989.
Yes. In fact, by 1989...
But 1989 introduces a new concept. The direct market commercials for video releases. Like commercials for Batman on home video.
Yeah.
Commercials for Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade on home video. People start pushing, the marketplace starts pushing to sell these movies in August, September. They do tie-ins with like Coca-Cola. Like the home video market is made into this sort of destination thing for Batman, because Batman did so well in theaters. It's now pushed really hard on VHS, and it comes out in September, October.
It's also the shift of the home video market.
Yeah.
Whereas before, you were looking at $40 to $80 a tape.
Yeah.
And suddenly, because of Batman, we're going to get tapes at $20 to $25.
Exactly. So the industry is saying, don't spend your entertainment dollars on a movie in a theater. Buy Batman again, and buy some popcorn, and buy some Coke, and watch it at home. And people do. So, there's more competition for your entertainment dollars than at any other point in the 80s, really.
I don't know about in other markets.
Right.
But I know in our market, Halloween 5 was also competing with Halloween 4.
Yeah.
In that 1989 is the first year, at least here in our market, in our corner of Virginia, where the pay-per-view movies had hit.
Yes.
And when we turned on our cable box to watch TV, it turned on to the guide which ran the commercials for pay-per-view.
Yep.
And the pay-per-view that was running the most in October of 1989
It's Halloween 4.
was Halloween 4.
And it competed with itself on home video as well. Because Halloween 4 was the first direct market Halloween VHS release.
CBS Fox.
Yeah. Halloween had come out on video at this point.
Yes.
But Halloween didn't come out on video when Halloween was still fresh in people's mind.
No.
Halloween 2 didn't come out on video when the iron was still hot. Halloween 3 did not come out on video while people were still hungry for Halloween 3.
Yeah.
Halloween 4 did. Halloween 4, bam, came in right on the heels of Halloween 4 in theaters about a year later.
Yes.
So yeah, it made perfect sense that there would be a lower percentage here.
Yes. So while it almost
So why does it kill the franchise though? Because critically it's a flop.
Critically, it's a flop. And while you say the words, it made back 4 times its budget.
Right.
Its budget was $3 million, so it made almost 12.
Yeah.
That is nothing.
Oh yeah.
The horror income is down
Oh, across the board.
across the board.
The bloodletting I talked about, it hit Nightmare, it hit Friday, it hit Halloween, it hit all 3. One of them a little less than the other 2. And Halloween not. Halloween's not the one that came out unscathed or less scathed.
And this was the year of Friday, Jason takes a cruise to Vancouver.
Right. So guess which one survived-ish.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a bad year. So the franchise goes on another lengthy remodel period, if you
Yes.
will. And part of that is, unlike the sort of Halloween 3 to Halloween 4 narrative, where Mustafa gets to say why things went away. gets to sort of direct the narrative by mythologizing the failure of Halloween 3. A new thing comes along in between Halloween, not a new thing, but a more popular thing, comes along in between Halloween 5 and Halloween 6. The sort of early days of the internet, where people actually start communicating things online, and we start to get sort of a broader narrative of what's going on as people are archiving trade articles from Variety, from the Hollywood Reporter, so we can kind of chart the progress of Halloween 6 through production and through pre-production and through the scripting phase, because announcements are made in these magazines and people keep them.
Yep.
And archive them and make that information available for people to easily find. So the mythology of the failure of 5 is not as pervasive as the mythologized failure of 3. Yeah.
Well, also, you can't. Mustafa doesn't want to mythologize this failure
Because it's all him. Like, this is his show.
Another problem I think happened is also in 89, 90, 91, 92, during that time period, the type of production companies, specifically Magnum and Galaxy, which made these two movies, these small production companies were starting to fall.
Oh, yeah. There were other companies finding their niches in the market and stealing them. And they were the mid-majors. Yeah. Your Miramaxes, your New Lines. We're going, okay, well, we've got that. We've got our higher tier releases. Can't we just pick up some smaller tier stuff too? Fuck it. Let's do it. So you almost have secondary imprints coming into these larger lines. Miramax, which is, a mid-major, creates Dimension. Dimension takes the place of a Galaxy. But it's still just Miramax. And it's still just Disney. It's now part of a chain of a larger corporate structure where they're pushing down the tiers of releases, but it's all under one roof. The little guys started to get gobbled up or pushed out.
And then with the little guy being pushed out, like the two production companies that made 4 and 5, we've talked about this in Camp Crystal Lake.
Yep.
The idea of the negative pickup is also pushed aside.
Yes, indeed.
Because essentially, that's what 4 and 5 were. Mm-hmm. Like, that's why CBS Fox had the videotape rights. Mm-hmm. So instead of actually a movie gets produced by a small production house and a mid-major or a major comes and buys this negative pickup, they are now mid-majors. They want properties.
Mm-hmm. They want to own the IP so that they can do with it what they want, so they can market it how they want, so they can do whatever with it. So they can also do ancillary market stuff.
Yes.
So it becomes a revenue stream. And the bidding war will begin.
Yes.
And that is what we will talk about next time. But before we dip out, any final thoughts on this movie?
I love this movie, except for the last half now. The last half is starting to drag. But with the love I had for it, I love it more than most Fridays. And we've talked ad nauseum on record about my love for the Fridays.
Yes.
Which got lessened and lessened as they went through the last viewings. I love this movie. It is 1989.
See, and I think that's the difference. This is why I don't really care for it. It's a nostalgia thing for you. It reminds you of being 14.
Yes.
This doesn't remind me of being 9. So there's no nostalgia for me. Okay, the only viewpoint character I have into a nostalgia piece for this year is the girl in the insane asylum. So there's no viewpoint for me. There's nothing to pull me toward it. And And you love the Fridays because of the camp and because of the stuff about them. But those who listened to all those 11 weeks of us talking about Friday, 12 weeks.
12.
Sorry, of us talking about Friday the 13th. You may remember he liked a lot of them and I didn't. And you like this more than you like those. Yes. I like this about the same as I like those. It's a different kind of storytelling. It doesn't entirely feel like a Halloween movie. And that Halloween feel is important to me as a viewer. And I need it to feel like it belongs. And this one doesn't. It doesn't visually feel like a Halloween movie. And it doesn't sort of narratively feel like a Halloween movie to me.
Also, I feel like we should bomb on this before we go out. Not bomb on this, but bomb on it. I believe this one has the most footage in daylight.
Oh, yeah. I could see that. It certainly does.
This is also the last one released in October.
Yes.
Until Halloween Halloween.
Coming up in just a few. Coming up soon.
Coming up this year in 2018.
Exactly.
Number 6 was close to being released in October. It was released on September 29th.
Right.
So its first weekend was the first weekend of October.
And Halloween H2O was originally intended to be released in October, but Miramax was like, no, this is too good. Let's put this in summer. And they did.
Yes.
So that feels like good final thoughts on what looks to be, looking at my watch, so far our longest conversation about a Halloween movie. Halloween 5. It's amazing to me. All right. For the Ark of E, we have been the guys who deep dive on horror movies. We are the Blanchard brothers. I am one half of that. I am Matthew J. Blanchard.
I am the other half. I am Patrick J. Blanchard. One day we'll tell you what the J's stand for.
Yep, one of those days. This has been Everyone's Entitled to One Good Scare, and we have been the guys who once more pay the late fees so you don't have to.